Can you imagine this 4'10", blonde hair, blue-eyed, innocent-looking young woman is actually one of the most dangerous women in this world, and she has killed her entire family. Hello viewers, I'm Dr. Angie and I'm presenting to you another reaction video, and it is a very beautiful interview done by Piers of this young lady. And the reason I picked this interview is because I have come across these individuals who have very beautiful exteriors, but they have very cold and callous interiors, and they can easily fool us. These individuals have certain traits in common that I noticed she has as well, as it was very evident during the interview, and I want to point them out so you guys stay safe out there. Disclaimer, this is not a psychiatric diagnosis, as I cannot diagnose her since I haven't assessed her. I'm just giving my reaction to the interview and certain things and certain traits that I have witnessed in her, that I have seen in other similar individuals in my professional practice. So without further ado, let's get started.
I can't picture you as somebody that would want her family annihilated. It doesn't make any sense to me.
There are different kinds of criminals, and there is one type called sociopath, and then there's one type called psychopaths. So psychopaths are way more dangerous than sociopaths. Sociopaths look like criminals. They are not very smart and they have a long criminal history. However, psychopaths are very intelligent. They assimilate themselves among normal people. They have normal lives. For that reason, they are very dangerous. They don't come across as criminals. They're usually very charming and attractive and have great personalities. Like Ted Bundy, the serial killer, is a prime example of a psychopath. So in DSM-5, both psychopath and sociopaths are included in antisocial personality disorder, and it's part of cluster B traits. So narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, and antisocial personality disorder, all three are cluster B personality types. You cannot tell that she's a criminal just by looking at her. And her being a female make it even more difficult to tell.
My mind's thinking, if I die, they may never know who did this. I've got to stay alive long enough so I can identify the killers.
He's saying his father, who survived the attack, and her brothers were so young, and then her mother actually killed, and her father survived, and he's saying that we are all American family and very normal. And that's what you usually hear from families of these psychopathic individuals, because they assimilate so well and they put such a great mask that even their families can pick it up, that they have such criminal mind and criminal tendencies. Like, I don't know if you remember that Ted Bundy had a wife. He was really good to his wife, and she had a child from another person, and he was so good to them. So it's just amazing that how their really close ones can't figure them out.
My heart completely broke for Erin. I believed her story initially. It was convincing.
It's not that these people are fooled, it's just that they are so convincing, and on top of that, they are usually very attractive. They have very attractive personality. They are very charismatic. So it's hard not to like them and not to believe them.
I was on my way to meet Erin's father, Terry. Caffeys were a church-going family, and Penny homeschooled Erin and her two younger brothers, Matthew and Tyler.
Seems like they were church-going conservative family, and she had a sheltered conservative upbringing.
What is the first thing that you hear or experience that night?
Bedroom door flies open and you can hear the door hitting the wall, like bam.
Her boyfriend at that time actually went in the house and shot them. So, and to save time, I'm just giving you a summary.
An attack on a Range County family left a mother and her two sons dead and a father in the hospital. The victims were found in a burning house near Emory, 60 miles east of Dallas.
I believe they shot the mom and the dad, but dad survived, and they stabbed the two little boys. And it was her boyfriend and two accomplices, one male friend and one a girl.
Rains County area, no one here can remember a tragedy of this magnitude.
They found her over there in her boyfriend's trailer, and she made a story that her boyfriend drugged her and it took her to the trailer, and she was actually in the house. So let's watch more.
I'd been granted an hour to interview Erin Caffey. It was all her idea to kill her family. But Erin has always denied this.
Majority of the time, psychopaths do not accept their crime, and even if they get jail time, even death penalty, like they just don't accept it. They remain in denial, or they believe their own lies. They just don't usually accept that they have committed the crime.
24.
24, and you've been inside here for how long?
8, going on 8 years.
That person was you that got caught up in such a terrible thing?
No, not really. You know, I was voted when we went to a youth camp, you know, most likely to succeed, you know, and best fun-loving person.
How she can come across, and that's how she's coming across here too, like most likely to exceed and most fun-loving, and those kind of vibes she is giving. And that's why it's so important just not to trust people just based on their external appearance. It's really, really important.
Most likely to succeed, most fun-loving person. You're from a very loving family.
We wouldn't know what she has done. It seems like she has a very good head on her shoulder. She came from a good family and she is destined to do great things.
And yet it ends in this terrible, catastrophic mass murder.
I guess what it all boils down to when I think about it, and I think about other young kids that have came in after me, and people that will come in even when I die, you know, young kids. It's all about choices.
She said a lot, but there's no content. She had a lot of time to reflect. I believe she was 16 when she committed these crimes, and then now she is 24. So 8 years is a long time to reflect. And if someone has killed their entire family, they should be feeling some kind of conscience, guilt, and it should be taking accountability and responsibility. But in her case, she said choices. Choices is when your mom asks you, what do you want for dinner? And either it's mac and cheese or do you want rice? Those are the choices. This is not the choice that you choose to kill your family or you choose not to kill your family. It is a crime. So she's completely distracted. Like, she did not provide any information. So it's a very vague answer. And I see that also when someone is not just doesn't want to take accountability for their actions, then they give answers like this. Very vague.
Blows up and we don't think about choices.
When your dad looked you in the eye and said...
And then she's saying little things blows up. Did you see, like, she's showing absolutely no emotions at this point. She's talking about, like, it is choices about choosing what kind of dinner she wants.
You realised this was not a game.
Right.
Your dad nearly died and everybody else was dead. This was real.
Very little emotions. That's one characteristic features of a person who has antisocial personality disorder or a psychopath. They have no guilt and no conscience, and they will do anything to get their needs met, and they absolutely do not care about other person's feeling. And that's why that makes them so dangerous. They just don't get attached to other people. And that's why they don't feel hurt when they commit those heinous crimes, because they are just not attached to them in any way. The only thing they are attached to is to get their needs met. And that's how they are different than narcissistic people. Narcissistic people still want others for validation. Narcissistic people are very insecure and they want others' validation and approval to feel good about themselves. But psychopaths don't need any of that. They don't have any real attachment to other people. The only thing they need from other people is their needs to be met. That's it.
I just sensed that something didn't seem right.
As the relationship with Charlie Wilkinson develops, and you and Penny get more and more concerned, and Penny goes to the library, finds his MySpace page and sees all this stuff about drinking and having sex with multiple people. Any parent seeing that, with their little girl being 16, you know.
They are talking about her boyfriend who actually killed the family.
I remember her holding her head down and teary-eyed a little bit, and she said that she'd been wanting to end it but didn't know how.
She's trying to just gain sympathy of her father and her parents when they told her that she cannot see him. And she said that I am trying to, but I don't know how, even though it seems like she didn't want to.
This was a guy I was supposed to spend the rest of my life with, and he loved me.
You loved him?
I didn't expect this kind of question from Piers Morgan. He does good interviews, but properly loved him. I don't think we know what proper love is at 16. It's all emotions and lust and just getting carried away. 16 is too early to know about proper love. So at that time, seems like she did love him.
I don't know if at 16 I knew what proper love was, but at the time, oh yeah, I was in love. And
She gave a really good answer.
I can't put words in his mouth. I can't.
Did you remember saying that to him?
No.
But what conversation did you have with him about killing your family?
He said it like it was a game. He had a name for it.
So I wish Piers Morgan would have listened to her a little more. A lot of time with these kind of people, you have to let them talk, because if you let them talk, they end up disclosing more information. And she was about to disclose some information, but then he interrupted and asked the question. I'm going to rewind and show you where.
I can't put words in his mouth. I can't.
Did you remember saying that to him?
No.
But what conversation did you have with
So
him?
did you see, she said no, and then she said, so she was about to disclose some information that could have been very beneficial. He said that she wanted him to kill the family, but according to her, it was a game and he just wanted to kill her. But later on, we'll find out from another boyfriend that she wanted to hire someone to kill her family. And I'm going to share the whole clip so we can watch it.
He would always just say, I just want a food bar. And I would,
What does that mean?
like, to kill your family.
Food bar, I don't think I know what that term is. So extremely bad or certain to fail or be defeated or destroyed. Puffed up before, beyond recognition. It's been a movie too, and it was banned, scary movie. Wow. It's just really chilling because that was her family and she was the oldest daughter.
They had a black lab that was outside and the dog started barking and they ended up leaving.
The dog barking is showing something. This has nothing to do with psychiatry. This is more of my personal opinion and my personal faith. And if you have faith on any higher power, I believe that the dog barking and them leaving was just universe or higher powers or God or Allah's way to tell them it's a super bad idea and stop and just go back. So it was something that happened circumstantial to stop them, but seems like they did not stop. But again, it's my personal observation. I have seen things happening when really, really bad things are supposed to happen. Usually there is a warning from nature. A lot of time people don't pick up the warning. Sometimes they do. And that was just a warning from the universe.
Ultimately, nobody did. And so they turned around and they went back to the home. The boys parked the car out on the road.
Yeah, I just don't know how they did not think it through. Their father survived too, and he was able to become a witness. Also, they most probably have burned the house to destroy all the evidence, but plan was definitely not a good plan. And Erin, she may have thought that she will just make it up that she was drugged and he drugged her and he did it. So I just don't know what their thought process was, because it was not very well planned, but they were really young too.
Charlie Wilkinson went and took the knife and stabbed Tyler to death as he hid in the closet, which was probably, of all the things that were done that night, the most disturbing to me.
That is horrible, like a young guy hiding from that person in a closet and him finding him and then stabbing him. Like very gruesome and evil and horrific. And she was sitting outside knowing what is happening with her family. How cold-blooded and cold-hearted.
And Charlie off at Charlie's brother's trailer where they then had sex.
Can you imagine her having like sex after all this? So it seems like it was a thrill for her.
You've been identified as the ringleader, the master of this operation. It was all your idea, you driving it. You were the one that wanted this to happen.
When things first happen to me, it takes something and runs with it. when this first happened, the media took something somebody said and then just blew it up.
Again, she's like completely not answering the question. Any serious questions in which she's accountable and she has to take some responsibility, she's completely deflecting it, not answering the question. Here before she said choices, and now she's saying media just like blew it out of proportion. Absolutely not making sense. And how completely dissociated and cold she is. She's not showing any guilt, sorrow, or remorse.
As you're sitting in that car and you know they've gone in to do this, what's going through your mind then?
I guess.
You can hear it, right?
No.
You couldn't hear it? Couldn't hear the guns on?
No.
You knew what they were doing?
I guess I wasn't thinking.
I guess I wasn't thinking. She knew exactly what's being done. The worst part of it is it's not like part of a rage attack when someone gets really angry, lose their mind and just kill other people. It was very well planned. After the dog was barking, they left and asked them to come back, and they came back. Then they went somewhere and discussed it for 1 hour. They were also planning it for a long time before. She has lot of time to think and change her mind, but seems like it was her plan. She had absolutely no sorrow or guilt over it.
Is that you went back and eventually end up with your boyfriend and you have sex together after this has happened?
I don't know that this is a good way of explaining it. When you tell a lie, it's not just that one lie.
Again, she did not answer the question that she had sex with the guy afterward who actually brutally killed her whole family. And she's talking about one lie and the other lie. It's like not answering the question. She's just being very vague and always just all over, not getting to the point. Piers Morgan is doing a good job, and a lot of people said he did a brilliant job, but I just feel that he could have done a little better if he would have let her talk more. So in this interview you can see he's talking more and she's talking very little, and whatever she is saying has no substance. She's not answering the question, she's just saying the words.
What I feel as you're telling this story is that you're honest to a point. I mean, it's almost like a barrier comes up where you don't want to admit that you were that person because it's easier, that it's hard to admit what probably happened.
That's the thing about psychopaths. They don't accept that they've done something wrong and they remain very disconnected. They just cannot connect, and they are very chilling, cold-blooded, callous killers, and they present very charismatic. They act like they are connecting to you, but they don't. And how she is, that's how they are. Like, they don't talk too much about them. They let the other person talk, and they are talking. So you can see it in this interview too. Piers Morgan is talking more. She's answering the questions, and that's it. She's not giving a lot more information just to stay protected. I remember whenever I have seen a person with antisocial personality disorder or a psychopath in my professional practice, they always come across very charismatic and very respectful, just like her, how she's soft-spoken and so respectful. I've seen men only, and mostly they are more men, but there are women with antisocial personality disorder too. Like, she may be, of course I'm not diagnosing her, but it's very possible she has it. These people, they are very respectful, and you usually don't pick up on their cold-heartedness and callous criminal mind. Their needs to be met. And I do remember one of my patients was all very respectful and very charismatic and would always tell me to stay safe. That was the only thing he would always tell me. And then later on I realized you've done some like very heinous crimes. So it was just chilling to realize that I was seeing them, and then afterwards this happened. Just because someone is being nice to you, they are very charismatic, doesn't mean that they mean it from inside. You cannot tell what a book is about just by its covers.
You want to stay with that story? That's fine.
That's what I heard last night. It's when she said, "Charlie, get rid of my parents. I'm tired of being beat."
This is the girl accomplice, and she was saying, Erin was telling her that protect her and her parents are beating her. And of course, her parents were not beating her. So she was being so manipulative to all her friends and her boyfriend and telling them this story. And on the other side, she was telling her parents the story when they told her to stop seeing your boyfriend, that she wants to, but she doesn't know how to. So how she is playing both sides and the type of manipulation she is playing. So others can feel empathy. And this is one thing also I've seen, like these psychopathic people, they are great in getting empathy from others. The way they come across, they are good listeners, they are so respectful. It's very hard not to feel empathic for them, but they don't feel any empathy on the other side.
She said that her mom had been pushing her and stuff like that, and she was slapping her and punching her.
So, and this is one other difference between psychopath and sociopath, is that sociopaths are usually caused to be made by society, like by injustice, bullying, all those things. Also, they are not very smart, but psychopaths are just born like that. So you can see, like, she has such good, like, normal childhood, loving parents, protective, sheltered upbringing, but she ended up killing them. So it seems like she was born with it.
No.
This is Charlie's friend's mom, and they were very close.
Where he felt like she was in danger.
In danger how?
I remember a time when my son was with them, and they were due home, and Charlie always made sure that he got Justin home on time, but they were late.
So she was acting like a victim, and that she needs to be saved. So this is one of her prior boyfriends.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. Okay. And she told me that she was gonna hire somebody to go out there and...
There are a lot of times, like parents, especially Christian families. I grew up in a Muslim family. That happened with me too. Like I was a teenager and I liked a guy, and my mom was like, no, you cannot see that guy. So not in my wildest dream, I had once thought about killing anyone in my family. I was just like sad and a little disappointed, and I cried and this and that. But that's what most normal people do. They don't kill their family because their family is stopping them from seeing a boy. There's no justification for this kind of behavior.
It was pretty clear, is that you certainly told people that you wanted your family dead. Why was that?
Well, I've talked to several young ladies in here, and they've said, well, I said one time when I was, your age, I wish my parents were dead. And we say things when we're young and if we're mad.
The kind of answer she gave, again, this is the third answer, completely deflected, not answering the question. So what she's meaning to say is that a lot of kids may think like that. I wish my parents are dead. It's possible kids think like that, but not wanting them dead, not hiring someone or not manipulating someone to kill them. She's just completely downplaying her role throughout the interview. So it seems like here she's just saying that she wished that and it came true because other people killed her, not her. So not taking any blame for what she's done.
I know I need to for myself and then for others. Take responsibility for my actions.
What are those actions? What are you taking responsibility for?
That was a very good question. I have to give Piers Morgan this credit.
I don't know. I've still got some...
He completely caught her off guard by that excellent question.
Things I gotta process and work out.
So she, again, completely not answering the question, still saying, I have to process and work out, just being very vague about everything.
That in itself must be a terrible burden on you, that you had that power to stop this happening, but you never chose to take that choice, that option.
By her facial expression, seems like that thing made her uncomfortable, but it's not showing that she is having any guilt or sorrow. She was just a little uncomfortable because he was putting that burden on her, that she could have stopped her family, and she accepted it, but she's still not saying that she's the reason her family is dead.
Your dad's a remarkable man. He stood by you through thick and thin, knowing what you did. So that's the most unusual part of the story, that dad is still supporting her and want her out, and believe that her boyfriend actually influenced her into doing all of that. So no matter how
naive a girl is, any other individual cannot convince her to be part of murdering the family. But I can understand, and everyone, you can watch the whole interview if you haven't watched it, does agree that they understand why father has such a sweet spot for her daughter. She's the only survivor beside him. He may have survivor's guilt. Of course, he has that love for her daughter, even though she has killed the entire family. He's in a very difficult spot, and that's what he has chosen to do for his own peace. He's kind of in part denial that she's the reason the whole family is dead, but she's the only one alive also. So it's a very difficult spot to be in, and it's understandable why father is taking this stance.
My dad has said from the very beginning that even if I was the one that I came in at night and stood over his bed, he would still love me and come to see me.
That's how unconditional love of most parents is. Charlie
Do you think
is the
he'll always
boyfriend.
love you? Do you love him still?
I mean, I forgive. I mean, we all...
It's all about forgiveness. It's a different thing.
She's still blaming him. Seems like in her mind, she's still saying that he's the one, he's the reason, he's the one to blame. He's the one who killed my family. So that's why she's like, I forgive him. Doesn't make sense, because seems like from all the evidence we have, she convinced him to kill her family. What about forgiveness? And he is still saying that he still loves her.
I feel bad for him.
She's saying that she doesn't love him very clearly. Seems like she was emotional and she did love him, but it's very understandable. It's been so long that why she doesn't love him anymore.
Do you feel guilty for what happened to their son? Do you feel like without you pushing him, it would never have happened?
I've never thought about that.
See, she never thought about that, and I thought about that. I'm pretty sure everyone who have watched it thought about it, that she framed him, she convinced him, not framed, she convinced him and used the love he had for her to kill her families. And she never thought about all that because, of course, she does not feel, she has no empathy, she doesn't feel other people's feeling. She only feel what she's feeling and her needs. She doesn't feel or see other people's needs. Has no empathy.
Something you should feel. That actually you could have stopped him doing this if you wanted to.
See how she said yeah, absolutely she didn't want to say yeah. You can just see from her face, there was a disgust on her face that she does not feel guilt for him, and she does not feel that she's responsible in any way for him serving the time.
We'll talk about the first thing I want to do is go pay my respects to the graveyard.
Still she's saying my respect, but not my sorry or I apologize.
My dad said that the first time he went there, he couldn't speak.
Mixing her dad's situation with the family and going to grave is completely different than her. She's the one who planned their murder, and dad was just involved and survived. So it's completely different. That's how it ended. It's just very chilling to see someone like her, but these kind of individuals are around us and we just don't know. I've seen families of people who are psychopaths say things like, oh, my son doesn't have a hostile bone in the body or doesn't have a violent bone in his body. They have no clue what their child is capable of doing, their partner is capable of doing, their best friend is capable of doing. These people are around us. Just be careful. Don't just trust someone based on their appearance or based on their personality. That's all I have to say. If you want to learn more about how to differentiate between psychopath, sociopath, and narcissistic people, I recommend you watch my video. And thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in your comment section what do you think about her. I'll see you next time.